Right now, get up to 15% off select storage solutions. Put heavy-duty HDX totes to good use, protecting what's important to you. The solid, impact-resistant design prevents cracking, and the clear base and sides make items easy to find even when the totes are stacked. Find select shelving and tote storage up to 15% off at the Home Depot to organize every room in your home, from your garage to your attic. Visit HomeDepot.com. How doers get more done.
Are all batteries the same? That's like asking if all soccer players are the same. Take Messi, the most decorated player ever. Is there any other player who has achieved that? No, just him. Now take Duracell. Is there any other battery with power boost ingredients inside? No, just Duracell. Remember, goats only trust goats because they're built different. And Messi only trusts Duracell.
This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies 18+.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the weekly Rotoscopers Livestream. I'm your host, Morgan Stradling. I'm excited to be here today. We have a lot of fun things that we are going to be talking about. And yeah, so I'm making progress. For those of you who, are watching live and have been following the saga, you know that I am trying to improve my live stream setup and get there little bit by little bit. So still haven't put the new mic on. That'll be next on the list. But if you're live, let me know in the chat. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. We're just going to talk about, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to go and review the box office from last week. I'm going to give a little mini spoiler-free review of Minions and Monsters. I keep messing that up. It's Minions and Monsters because Minions are number one, right? And then I have just some animation news that I'm going to discuss. There's some trailers that were released and other things like that. So if you're in the chat, let me know. And with that, let's hop right into it. So first, we're going to be doing the weekend box office for last weekend. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys. So last week, obviously, the big player in the box office was Toy Story 5 with $70.8 million, followed by, this was the big release of Supergirl. And Supergirl did not do as well as expected. It was definitely $37 million, but was a bomb, all things considered. And Obsession, number 3, $9.7 million. Obsession is just going to have legs for days, for weeks, for months, which is really cool. I still need to see that. I think I was talking with Rachel Wagner off air the other few weeks ago that the last horror film that I have seen is The Ring. So this is not my lane. I don't go see these movies. It's not my thing. But I think just out of curiosity and as much of a phenomenon this movie is becoming, I kind of got it, right? And then Jackie Best and Last, 8.4 million. Disclosure Day, only in its second week, already dropping to number 5. This one, had a big bump, but word of mouth really wasn't there to carry it, 8.25 million. And Masters of the Universe, we talked about that on the podcast, 2.3 million. And Star Wars, rounding out number 10, 1.7 million for the week. So I do want to see if I can scroll over to see. So this is going to kind of mess things up for you guys. Oh, there we go. My little sidebar was disappearing. But yeah, so Toy Story already is at nearly $300 million in just 2 weeks. So doing quite well for Disney. And then Obsession is doing $233 million. So yeah, the summer box office is alive and well. Don't let people tell you otherwise. And of course, there's going to be big hits and bombs, but we're getting kind of everything in between. Let's go to Toy Story, see where Toy Story is at for its domestically, $318 million and $287.8 million. It's kind of 50-50 with a big chunk of it being domestic ticket sales and then the rest being international. I need to look and see what markets are still slated to open up, but that's okay. And for the grand total, $606 million. So the numbers that I was talking about here, these are just their domestic totals for that. So yeah, I mean, great numbers for Toy Story. It is still kicking it. There was one day, which is this Monday. Hold on, there we go. Okay. I'm trying to see what it looks like on this screen. Not too bad. Okay. So this past Monday, it finally went into the 7 figures instead of the 8 figures with $8.1 million. And then we have the Tuesday bump. We don't have the Wednesday numbers. I was kind of hoping that by this point we'd have them because Minions and Monsters did come out yesterday. Now, I saw the movie, went to the press screening, and was actually very surprised with that. The Minion movies are kind of like, we're getting another one of these, really? But at the same time, you're like, well, people love these movies. Family love these movies. They do exceedingly well for Illumination. So why would we not have them? But nonetheless, I think there is fatigue if you're kind of looking for something new and fresh. And I will say this one surprisingly was new and fresh for me, at least. You know, I couldn't tell you what. Oh, Rise of Gru was the second Minion. So there's the Despicable Me franchise, which is all of these. Then there's the Despicable Me movies, and then there's the Minions spin-off movies. And this is my spoiler-free review, but Minions and Monsters showed yet again that the Minions are movie stars in their own right. They can carry their own franchise. They don't need Gru. I think at this point, kind of Gru in that storyline is kind of getting a little tired. But with this movie, they were able to keep it incredibly fresh because they talk about, you know, what happens if the Minions ended up in 1920s Hollywood, and they're in the shift from the silent era to the talkies. And they wind up in Hollywood, and they end up having to, you know, become these huge movie stars just because of who they are. They're so magnetic and everyone loves them. And then they have trouble with the transition. And so they have to, let's do monster movies instead. And overall, you know, my tagline of this was silly, slapstick, and surprisingly smart. And what I loved about this movie is that it plays to the adults on one level and it plays to the kids at another level. And obviously everything in between. But if you are a movie buff, or you just, you know, it feels, if you're a movie buff, you're going to love this movie because it is just bursting at the seams with cinema references. I mean, it even pays homage to Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton and a whole variety of different movie stars. And it's really fun because if you know those references, it makes it worthwhile for you because you're catching, you know, the different movie references. Or there's these two studio heads called the Bright Brothers. And there's lots of studios, Warner Brothers and the Disney Brothers, right, that are studio heads at this time. And so they kind of play on that. And I thought those characters were fantastic. They were comedically obese. And one's sort of the good cop and the other's the bad cop. And I really liked that dynamic. I thought they were really fun. And just all of the Hollywood glitz and glamour. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the first act of this film. I was laughing nonstop. It was so fun, so enjoyable for me as someone going into this thinking, is this really something that we need to do again? Or here we are again. And they really subverted my expectations and I had a really great time. Now, I will say it loses steam around the halfway point, you know, the 45-minute mark. And that's really disappointing because then we kind of leave Hollywood behind. It's still there in the back, but it's not as prominent as the first part. So, you know, it's a bummer because it was such a strong opening for this film. So I rated this 3.5 stars. I would definitely recommend going see it, especially if you were, I feel like you will be surprisingly surprised. You will enjoy yourself if you go and see this. So yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Minions? Right? I know kids love them, families love them. And that's why I was really excited to see the Wednesday box office numbers, just to kind of get a glimpse of how the Wednesday did. You know, we're going into this 4th of July weekend. This is the new movie. I predict that Minions will obviously take it, with Toy Story, you know, in there as well, probably at number 2. But with a new family film, you're going to be splitting the family audience. So will Toy Story kind of drop a little further as other films are introduced? I want to go back and kind of see what's releasing this weekend. Coming out this weekend, we have Swallowtail and Dragonfly, Mary Oliver, Saved by the Beauty of the World. These are limited releases. The widest release that we're getting is Thrash, and then Minions movie that was just released a few days ago. So and Young Washington. And Young Washington is really interesting. This is perfectly set for this weekend, but I think they're releasing it on July 4th specifically. I think they really just want to have that July 4th date on their, July 3rd. Okay, here it is, July 3rd. So it's being released tomorrow. And this has, Andy Serkis is producing it. He's involved, but not really. And yeah, I think this one will really appeal to the 4th of America, Independence Day, patriotic, want to see something very Americana for the 250th anniversary of the United States, the Declaration of Independence. The semi-quincentennial is coming up in just a few days. I'm interested in seeing this one. Haven't seen the screener for this one yet. I probably need to reach out and get that. But I think this one, I wish they would kind of give you a little preview of, the number of screens we're expecting to see it. But, it says limited, so probably not. This is Angel Studios. And I always predicted this was the big thing, that the reason Angel Studios released Animal Farm and took that one on is because they wanted this movie specifically. And so this is an Andy Serkis production. And so they were like, okay, well, we'll take this if you give us that. So, all right. So going back to Minions, right now it's still a little early. Tomato meter's 90%, which is pretty darn good for it's certified fresh right now with 96 reviews, and not enough for the popcorn meter for the audience. And just going back to see where Toy Story has landed, we're getting the critics, the tomato meter for critics is going down a bit. It's about 92%, and then 95 for the audience, which is definitely aligned, both thumbs up for everyone, right? Okay. So before we go into some other news stories, let's get some people in the audience who have things they want to say. We say, I remember seeing a TikTok of everyone in line backed up at Wendy's waiting for a Minions toy. People love the Minions. Yeah. I didn't realize that Wendy's had the rights for the Happy Meal toys, right? For the kids' toys. My kids ended up with one of them somehow. They went with a grandma and they took them to Wendy's and we ended up with a Minion. And they're actually pretty cute. So that's interesting that people are lining up for those toys. Side note, tangent time. It's just been very disappointing, the quality of McDonald's toys over the years. I mean, I go back and you look at some of these things that they did for, in the 80s and 90s. It's like, holy cow. I wish I had my bag. My sister, she thrifts. And so she'll thrift all sorts of things. And she, sells in these little antique malls and does boutiques and stuff. And she got one of these vintage Barbie McDonald's ones. And it's a legit little mini Barbie. It has the Barbie with the hair and the little outfit. There were a variety that were released, but this was the replica of the original Barbie with the black and white swimsuit. It has a stand. I mean, I was so impressed. And she gave it to my daughter who loves it. But, you remember, what movie was it where they had the puppets? That was at Burger King. Speaking of thrifting, my sister also thrifted a whole bunch of Toy Story 2 toys, and they are very high quality. She gave them to her little son, who's about 3 years old, and he's been playing with them nonstop. Like really high quality, actually toys that you could sit and they could stand up. They're not going to topple over. A lot of the toys now are just kind of built into a contraption or a device. It's kind of gimmicky. They just don't want to go to the lengths to have the articulation and all of that. So it's a bummer, but the Minions ones have pretty good so far. So let's see what Jeremiah has to say. While I love the Wildwood teaser, I doubt it will get families in theaters, particularly the dark gray shadowy clips they showed of the young shirtless young lad crying. On the plus side, so far as I can find, there are no other family films coming out in October, so it'll pretty much be the only new one to see until Cat in the Hat comes out. Yes, we did get the Wildwood trailer or teaser trailer coming out, and I didn't pull that one, but I could pull it. We could maybe show it in a little bit, but yeah, so good things coming. Now let's jump to some news stories for the week. Well, while we're doing that, let me just pull up the Wildwood trailer while everyone else you can throw some comments in. Here we go. Leica Studios. Let's see. I mean, this is a
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs.
Get business done with the new American Express Graphite Business Cash Unlimited card. With unlimited 2% cash back on all eligible purchases, unlimited 5% cash back on flights and prepaid hotels booked through American Express Travel Online, and a flexible spending capacity that can grow with your business, you'll have the confidence to keep building. Apply today and earn a welcome offer of $1,500 cash back after you spend $50,000 in qualifying purchases on your new card within the first 6 months of card membership. Terms apply. Learn more at go.amex/graphite.
All right. I'll be able to filter through some of those things. Okay, so let's go back to some of the stories for the week. We have a few trailers. Which is my short key for this? Shift 6. There we go. So we got, speaking of Illumination, while they have your eyes in and butts in seats, they released the next original feature called Not Alone. And we got the teaser for that. Now, this is directed by Eric Guillen, Claire Dodson, and Jonathan Del Val. And this is kind of a rom-com with aliens. It's a sci-fi. I'm just going to filter through some of this. There's this, guy, and he's working at some sort of space center, and he's working on this spaceship, and a girl comes along, and he kind of asks her on a date. And I'm doing this I'm just scrolling through this so we don't get, copyright flagged. Well, I guess I'm not sharing the audio, but, so we're getting this fun rom-com thing, which we don't see a lot in animation. I'm trying to think of the last true rom-com. I mean, not even Toy Story 4 was a rom-com. And the original Toy Story 4 that Lasseter had pitched, that definitely was. But I'm trying to think, let me know in the comments. When I just, right off the top of my head, if I think of rom-com, I think of the Paperman short from Disney. It's not necessarily a rom-com, but it's more of like a love interest. And then, so they have this thing, or the spaceship that blasts off, and they're holding hands, so cute. And then, aliens, and they're silly and goofy, and they look like sticky hands. And so we'll see. And, I saw some people commenting, say, why ruin a good movie with this? But this is the movie. I mean, of course, they're not going to have this totally serious film that's going to be appeal to adult sensibilities entirely. I mean, they're going to have elements that appeal to families and children. So I'm not going to necessarily write this one off based on that. I thought they were actually very endearing and funny. It'll be interesting to see how, what ends up coming as we get more of this. But this is starring Timothy Chalamet and Selena Gomez as our leads. It's Guillen's first feature as lead director after years as Illumination's production designer and co-director of Despicable Me, which is pretty awesome. And then Claire Dodge and the director of Minions: The Rise of Gru is joining along. So, and of course, Chris why do I say it wrong every time? Meledandri, he is being the producer. And what Chris said, I really enjoyed. He said, the big story there is that we're going back to originality. This is a homegrown directing team coming right out of the studio. So this is great. I mean, say what you will about Illumination. Illumination is, they keep their team together. It's not, I mean, I don't know how it is behind the scenes, but it seems like they really have people who were staying with the studio from a long time. Like he's even saying it, this is a homegrown directing team. And, they've done various productions, co-directing in the past, and now we have the three of them together doing this. So this is going to come out April 16th, 2027. And so far, I'm impressed. I think it'll be pretty okay. All right. And let's see. Thoughts on this? We have Jeremiah commenting on this. Okay, I honestly love the teaser for Not Alone. The end felt like a standard standard Illumination, but the rest really surprised me. Yeah, so I think we're going to get maybe something new from Illumination, at least partially, right? We're going to get this different aspect, this rom-com, this love element, and thrown in with, like you said, standard Illumination fare at the end. And the music, which I didn't play, the song was very atmospheric. The romance seemed cute. It had a little heft to it. Very excited. Yes. Okay. Before I go to the next story, we have Lil Coffee Bandit. Hi, Morgan. Love the podcast. Been listening since the beginning. An OG. I love it. Hope you and your family and Chelsea are well. Thank you. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I was a little late to the podcast today. We had kind of a very hectic morning. And, you know, I mentioned previously, this is a very standard time when I'm alone. It's just me and the baby. And I've kind of got the baby on a schedule where she goes down for her long nap right now. So I was getting her down and and then getting a few other things. I had to get a roast in the crock pot for dinner because that's been sitting in the fridge a bit too long. I'm like, okay, we need to cook this now because if we're going to eat it for dinner, it needs to be cooking in the crock pot. So thanks for everyone for waiting for me to join a few minutes late. Life and family, right? And then also she says, love the Paperman animation style. Wish they'd do more full feature in that style. I agree. You know, that was really touted as sort of the next gen for, I'm trying to fix this. The next gen style for Disney. Look at all these cool things they're going to do with it. And they're going to have this overlay. And we really haven't seen that from Disney. They very much are in their own style and have the house style that seems to work for them. And you know what? I want to show something here. Let's see if I can find it. That there's been a lot of discourse about Disney face, Pixar face, you know, since the Hex trailer came out. And I watched a really good YouTube video of someone analyzing it, but let's see if I can find this real quick. Someone did some really nice overlays of, let's see, of these face shapes. And I can't really find it. Was an author. It was like an artist who had like colored the eyes on all of them one color and colored the cheeks another color and like the lips face shape. Let's see. What if I type in Hexed? Not really getting it. So, well, we can show you this right here. That'll do, Pig. This will do. Okay, let's get rid of this. So we have Disney face, DreamWorks face, Sony face, Blue Sky face. What else? And, you know, this is just referring to my eyebrows, like the what face, where your eyebrows are kind of up and you're making sort of this sheepish, what's happening here, you know? And we've seen this with Hex. We see this with Judy Hoops, the kid from Stranger Things. That movie is so unremarkable that I don't remember this kid's name. And then with Pixar, you know, it's like, how did I get in this situation, guys? But you know, at the same time, and here's another one where they isolate out these face shapes. This isn't the one that I was referencing, but it's okay. You kind of get the feel. Like overall, this is the same thing. But watching the Minions movie this weekend, I mean, Illumination has a type. You know, I think we give Disney too much flack, or you know, the internet's giving them too much flack because. I mean, they have a style that's worked for them. It's very marketable as far as merchandise and all the dolls and all of that. And then Illumination. I mean, you see one character in a background of an Illumination movie and you know you're watching Illumination. They have these very wiry characters, long legs. They have a face that's very much Illumination. I mean, they even transpose it a bit into the Mario movie. Like, wow, we can tell Illumination did this movie because it's the Illumination look. And, you know, I can't get mad at them because, I don't know, I think 2D had a lot more variability and variation in all of the characters and the designs and eye shape and face shape, but we're just not seeing that. And that's just kind of an unfortunate, you know, aspect of the culture that we're in, the culture, or at least the corporate culture. Disney is a corporation first and foremost, right? But I feel like in the 90s, they really try to hide behind the veneer of we make art, we make movies. And now it's kind of the other way. It's like, we don't really care. The veneer of an art house or a movie studio that's so creative. I mean, it's like, no, we're Disney and this is what our movies look like. I don't know. Am I wrong? I'm not getting mad at them for it, but that's just kind of how I feel. We have a comment saying, oh, yes, definitely remember the DreamWorks eyebrow raise. It was the same face staple for a long time. And Pop Tart for Jesus says, if the character is remarkable, it doesn't matter. Exactly. Also, if the character, but if it's forgettable, it does. For example, Elsa versus Asha. Yeah. We're talking Wish versus Frozen. And this really started with Tangled. Tangled was based on the Glen Keane design, and he had these very big, expressive eyes and kind of the smaller, heart-shaped face with smaller lips and a little less pronounced nose. And it seems that is just a very appealing design that has worked very well. And we saw that translated into Frozen. Moana even looks like that way. And even though, kind of going back to this right here, all these other characters, I mean, they're different nationalities for sure, but all within the same family. So yeah, it's okay. I think we're getting a little too crazy getting mad at this, right? Okay, let's go to our next story. Lots of little teaser trailers coming out. So did you know that there's an Angry Birds 3 movie? I totally forgot that there was an Angry Birds 2. Vaguely remember seeing the first one. I podcasted about it, but man, it's been so long. The only thing I really, if you tell me, like, name one thing about Angry Birds, the original movie, is that Clay Cadis is the director. It was kind of, he had worked at Disney for a long time. He had, back in the early 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s, had a podcast called The Animation Podcast, where he interviewed a lot of great people in the industry. And it really inspired me to start Rotoscopers, because I thought, well, and then he stopped doing it. Obviously, got very busy at work and then, directing at later points. But I thought, it'd be fun to have another animation podcast where it's fans talking about the movies and reviewing them. And, we've branched into interviewing people along the way, right? I could do a lot more interviews. So there's constantly movie, pitches coming. It's just hard to find time. But okay, so we have Angry Birds 3. This is coming in theaters December 23rd. And, this movie is about Red, who is Jason Sudeikis, and he's juggling his biggest challenge yet, fatherhood. And so we get him, I mean, who knows where the mom is? She's around, like he mentions the mom, but he's kind of being stay-at-home dad here. And then he gets the assignment to watch the kiddos. And we have the sports obsessed bird, we have the little baby who's just creating havoc, kind of Jack without the powers, getting into the knives and creating problems and peeing everywhere. Here's the family. Wow. Do they all look totally different? Not from the same species at all. It's like, whatever, we don't care. We're just going to make them look like what we want to look, because if they're all red, it's going to be very difficult to differentiate. But yeah, that's a choice. And whatever. It's Angry Birds 3 at this point. What can you do? And oh no, he's stepping on the drawer of tacks. We have a drawer of tacks for some reason, and the baby's going to fall. Oh no, now there's knives. Oh no. Hey, let's bring in our friends. Remember these guys? The bomb squad, as they say, as they bring in the friends. And oh no, the baby's peeing everywhere. It's like the Bellagio fountain. It's just like, what are we doing, guys? As someone who has kids and babies and bodily fluids are a thing, I don't find this funny. I don't enjoy it at all. It's like, ugh. So I don't know why this movie is the way, why are you the way that you quotes from The Office, but I'm not loving this one. I see it and I'm thinking, I don't need it. Don't need it at all. Has quite a cast of characters, Lily James, Kiki Parker. I mean, I could just list them all off, right? And yeah, it's been 7 years since Angry Birds 2, which I don't recall seeing. Yeah. So let me know. What are you guys thinking? Yes. And, comments. It was an app. Like eye roll emoji. Angry Birds must be over 10 years old now. Will this even appeal to little kids? Is Angry Birds even a mobile app that people play anymore? Does it have the cultural relevance that it did? I don't know. It was definitely a big thing in the early 2000s, or I keep saying that, early 2010s, right? And so, it seemed inevitable that you would make this, but now I guess it's just turned into its own movie franchise where the juice is worth the squeeze for them in order to do these movies, although quite a few years apart. And this premise just doesn't appeal to me. It's like, what? The dad taking over the family, after a few movies, like, what are we going to do now? Well, let's get some kids and all the antics with children, and just doesn't seem appealing to me at all, personally. All righty. And then I saw this right as I was hopping on. Moana 3 in the works. Jared Bush and Dana Ledoux Miller will write the script. But they have the most strange source ever. It's just, yeah. It's a Spanish Twitter. Like, discussing film. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not surprised if this were true. Are you? I mean, the second one did amazing. Why wouldn't there be a third one in the works? I feel like maybe we knew this. I feel like we've gotten hints that, yeah, we're going to get Moana 3. So I don't know why this is being pushed as something that they are promoting us. Oh, going. All right. And going back to Angry Birds, Jeremiah says, here's the thing. Everyone hated the first Angry Birds, but supposedly the second one is not only better, it's actually really funny, sweet, and well done. The third one, I as well am unenthused. Yes. And then Pop Tart for Jesus says, can we get an actual story, please? Yeah. Something a little different. You see, and then we go here and we see what Wildwood from Leica is doing. And just amazing artistry. And I was talking with Chelsea. It's like, yeah, when your dad is, or when you're like a billionaire and this is kind of like a passion project, you can get it, just make movies and you don't have to really worry about them being these commercially successful. You want them to be, but these like what Leica movies feel like passion for the craft of animation versus just a product we're putting out hoping to, get investors excited so we can meet quarterly earnings and have good results for the quarterly earnings call. Like that, honestly, is the Disney strategy to me. It's like, what can we do just to get the investors excited, just to bump the price, at the quarterly call. It's just everything they do. And so many of the things that Disney announces, they just like quietly just step away, never talk about them again. It's just like this burst of like, hey, what if we do this? This is really cool, exciting, right? Wow. Line go up. And then, we actually don't really want to do that, but line went up. So that's all that matters. And that's I'm so cynical about Disney right now. But yeah, so we get this trailer for Wildwood and it's just really pretty to look at. It's just amazing. Them and Aardman, what they're able to do. And they do stop motion. And again, they have the house style. You see a movie like this and you're like, yes, why wouldn't this be Leica? It has the Leica feel. And if you watch an Aardman stop motion, it has the Aardman feel. And although character designs, we could compare them from movie to movie and see, but I feel like these feel very standard. But Jeremiah said earlier, like this dark sort of movie, is it going to appeal to families and children? It just seems a little bit more, gritty than what maybe might appeal to families. But we got to give families, you need to give us a break, right? We need we don't need to give families a break. Like families need to, like, I don't know. I'm an animation fan. I'm totally different than like the average family moviegoer. I'll go and see these movies because I know the studios or the history behind it. I'm excited for it. But the average family that's just kind of like sees a trailer or whatnot, or like, we're going to the theater. What do you want to see, kids? Well, how can we get them excited? Let's see. Wildwood looks amazing. Leica are amazing. Heart emoji. And, speaking of things that appeal to kids, we have the first look at the DreamWorks CoComelon the movie. So this is just an image that we have, and I'm like, oh, I can proudly say my children have never watched CoComelon. I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that. It's like the ultimate brain rot for children. Like they've said behind the scenes that they will put children in front of these shows, and if the children's attention changes or deviates or they lose interest, then they go back and rework that scene to add another cut, add another something to, something bright, something musical, a noise, so that way they are constantly just focused on the scene, on the screen. I don't believe that's healthy for children, especially babies. Like this isn't my jam. So, however, they're making a movie. And I know nothing of CoComelon. I don't know if these are characters that are in the movie or in the series, but this is our first look at it. So this one actually is coming out Friday, February 19th, 2027. Probably a very safe bet for them. Just release it, when nothing else is happening or nothing big, prominent. And, you rake in the millions as far as families with toddlers. I can't imagine anyone beyond preschool children taking... obviously, if you have children that grew up with this, maybe, but it's so heavily preschool focused that I feel like even young kids age out and say like, I don't watch that anymore. I don't watch those shows anymore. And I don't know. But so there we go. We got that. Let's read some comments. Oh, Let's see. Morgan, will you be reviewing the live action Moana? I'm not excited for it at all. Same. Same. I will review it the best that I can. I probably won't take my family to it. It doesn't even seem worth the tickets for the family. I will go and see it and review it. Whether we review it on the podcast, it's another story if we can, if Chelsea wants to see it too. But I mean, we have to compare. I hated Moana 2, did not enjoy that one. And, we did Lilo and Stitch. Why not do this one too? My big thing with this, and this has always been my gripe about this movie, is that they had, I never say her name, Auli Carvalho. She was cast with The Rock. They were both there together. They were the leads. And I thought that was kind of cool. Like, here you are, you have the voices and singers. They did both, right? From the original. And here they are, they're going to do it in live action. They both are able, to look the part and sound the part, right? Obviously. And so I thought that was going to be pretty cool to have her reprise her role in live action. That has never been done before, at least as far as I know, right? But then people got mad. She's apparently only half Hawaiian, or she wasn't Polynesian enough. And so Disney just pulled the rug under her. Disney is the worst with caving to like the internet pressure, which is a very, very small vocal minority that just has opinions that are not great opinions. And so they replaced her with a younger girl. And I still vividly remember the video where they had Ali and she's sitting there and it's like a hostage video. Go and see it. And it's like she is holding back tears saying, "Hey guys, we have a new Moana and I'm going to be the executive producer." Isn't that great? Like, it is heartbreaking watching that video of her. So because that happened, and I'm just mad at Disney, that they would have done that to her. And, she seems to be okay in some of the press. It's been a few years since that was what, 2024 when that all went out. But yeah, for that reason, I'm just, makes me sad. It could have been something cool. But then, I mean, if you look at the trailer and it's so dark and glum, like Wildwood, which is a very dark and gloomy movie. Where do I have that? I mean, this at least has some color. And if we're going to go to Moana live action trailer, what's going on here, guys? Can we bump up the saturation tab a little bit? Just that alone, I think, would help. But let's see. I'm trying to see if there's a new one that was this is the final trailer that we're going to get from Disney. I'm going to, just watch this play. And, we got some color, I guess, when we get to that scene. And dark, gloomy, monotone, very monotone. Where's the color? The ocean looks gray. The greenery looks, brownish green. Okay, that's maybe the best shot where they're on the island at the very beginning. Yeah, it looks gloomy. Looks very glum to me. But I'll see it. And it's hard because it's like I have very strong opinions about how this movie has been made and all the choices involved. And okay, I'm going to go into the movie and do my best. But yeah, all right. Let's see. We're going back to Cocomelon. Morgan, that pat on the back is deserved. Cocomelon is a menace, I'm sure. It is well-intentioned, but it's true. It's unhealthy. Thank you. Thank you very much for validating me and my parenting choices. Let's see. What happened? Well, we have what happened to shows like Little Bear, Strawberry Shortcake, and The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Those were good shows with good characters and some gravitas. Yes, absolutely. I let my kids watch the Winnie the Pooh movies. I know Jeremiah's a huge fan. And I wish I could go back and redo my review of the 2010 Winnie the Pooh, because that is so cute. I love that movie so much. It is precious, along with the original The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. But those are just slow going movies, very simple. And yeah, in addition to the television show. Oh, sorry, I cut off his comment. There are still shows like that, such as Bluey, but they're few and far between. And it says, agreed. It is cool they got originals back for the live action Moana, but also reiterates how redundant it is. It's already been done literally with animation. And the animation allows you to go into this non-real world. I mean, you can punch things up and you can exaggerate things even more than you can in live action. With a real human person there is that wall of, okay, this doesn't seem very realistic for a person. But if you just put that character in animation, suddenly the world's your oyster. You can do all sorts of crazy things with that human character because it's animated. And so when you're trying to take these fantastical elements and bring them into live action remake, it's just silly. Sometimes they look very forced, unrealistic. They take you out of it, uncanny. Had no idea Moana was about the Moana recasting drama. That's so sad. They never said, hey, we're going to recast her because of all this backlash, but there was backlash, unwarranted, in my opinion. A little time went by and suddenly it's recast. It's like, why are you recasting her? And I feel bad for her because this is her big role. This is her moment. She's a singer, so she's going to get a lot of royalties from the soundtrack of this. I'm sure she is set for life from the Moana soundtrack and how well that did. And this was a big moment for her. Wasn't she Katie? Not Katie. She was the girl in the Mean Girls remake, the friend, the gothic friend. Her name escapes me right now, but she hasn't really gone on to have this huge career that maybe she was hoping. And so this was a bag for her. This was a big opportunity for her to make a little bit more money, to get back out there, with the Disney. She's forever going to be, we'll see her a Disney legend one day. She's always going to be the Disney family, but I feel bad for her. It was just really sad. Morgan, Lil Coffee Bandit. Morgan, I always love your rants about the live action stuff. Always tend to agree. Thank you. I mean, I honestly, sometimes I feel like I am the only person. I mean, I know I'm not, but I'm like, why am I just on an island with my, feeling this way? Because then these movies go and they do gangbusters, right? They just do amazing and people just see them. It's like, oh, Lion King, yay, we're going to go see this. And it's like, but it's bad. Like, you can tell that it's bad, right? No, we loved it. It was great. It was so fun. They never talk about it again. I mean, it's hard. But I'm glad I have solidarity with my Rotoscopers family. Why is Cinderella like the only good live action adaptation? Disney has really dropped the ball with this experiment. Cinderella is great because they did something different with it. There's no songs and people might get mad. Oh, why didn't you put songs in it? But because they made these distinct choices and the story is more of the they just took elements of the fairy tale that maybe didn't make it into the Disney version. And we get to see the prince a little earlier. They changed that arc and it's different enough that it feels like it's standalone movie. It's more like we're taking in a different interpretation of the Cinderella fairy tale, slightly based on what Disney done, but taking that even further. It's a different interpretation of even the Disney version, right? And so the dress is different and just the style, everything about it just feels different. We don't have the mom, Lady Tremaine doesn't really look like Lady Tremaine. I mean, it's, on the fly, really dropping the ball on these names, but it's Galadriel, the voice of Kate Blanchett, who is Lady Tremaine, but she doesn't have the big pompous, big bouffant hairstyle that's gray. And they just do so many different things that makes it different enough and it's just well made. It's just very well made. It's colorful. It's pretty. Yeah. Jeremiah, I know this is a hot take, but I don't even like Cinderella remake that much myself. I do like the Jungle Book pretty well and Christopher Robin. Yeah. See, I mean, there's something enough different for everyone. I went and rewatched Jungle Book because I was on Jonathan North's show and we were talking about different adaptations of Jungle Book. And that one, again, it's similar to the Disney one, but they add some different storyline elements and the wolves have a bigger part to play. That one's fun. Not my favorite. I think I would do Cinderella above that one, but it's still a lot of fun nonetheless. Continuing on, he says, I do feel the remakes are nearly always awful. They either change things in ways that don't work or stay way too similar while losing the charm of the original. Yeah, Disney remakes are not my jam. They feel very formulaic at this point. It feels like it's an instant, printing money situation for Disney where, I don't know, maybe they realize these aren't the greatest movies in the world, but I think they're afraid if they deviate from the very tried and true, formula that they have for these things at this point, that they're going to bomb and not do as well. And early pre-sales for Moana do show that it's not going well for this one. So could this be, the straw that breaks the camel's back. We'll see. It'd be interesting to see how this one fares out. But I don't know anyone excited about this. I don't know anyone talking about this. Interesting that they put this one out middle of July. I feel like they couldn't because Star Wars kind of always has that May slot, but I feel like those maybe should have been switched. If you wanted to get people amped up, excited for summer, let's kick it off with a good old ocean movie about Moana and then move Mandalorian and Grogu to late summer. You know, in late summer, I mean, that's basically a month in December, you know, mid-July. Let me grab a drink real quick. Talking about live action remakes. Yes, so many of my friends and family love the Beauty and remake over the animated original. I was offended, to put it mildly. Jungle Book was probably my least disliked of the remakes. Wow. How can you like that one over the original? Everyone has different tastes, but interesting. Very interesting. Jeremiah says, everyone I've talked to despises it for being emotionless with poor choices throughout, like adding the forgettable song Spirit. I think the worst of the recent remakes was Pinocchio. What a stinker. Oh, wow. We did that last year, I think. We were kind of on a kick of doing these live action remakes, and that was very painful to watch. And it went on Disney Plus, and so it didn't really have the opportunity to bomb, but they know. I'm sure the streaming numbers show that one did not perform. Jeremiah, he's saying, allow me to affirm, you are right to be offended. He's referring to Little Coffee Bandit. The original Beauty and the Beast is wonderful. The remake is, well, not so much. And Famous says, I love the old cartoon version of Lion King so much. They should release it to theaters instead of making another realistic sequel. Yeah, it's a shame because I remember specifically seeing the 3D remake of The Lion King. What was this, 2011-ish? 3D remake. It wasn't a remake. They just kind of, remastered it, re-rendered it for 3D because that was all the rage back then. And it was fun. I mean, the 3D didn't really it felt very multiplane to me, which was kind of an interesting effect, but it didn't need to be in 3D. They just did it to capitalize on a trend. But yeah, what happened to all these re-releases of these classic films before home VHS and home media? I mean, it was very common to see these be released from time to time. And they did very well, they did decently well. With VHS, those kind of stopped the 30th anniversary or 20th or whatever. And they do continue to do these with live action. Star Wars is continues to get, the 20th anniversary Revenge of the Sith, which I saw and loved. And it was so fun to see it in theaters, but it seems like they're animated properties. They just don't, well, hold on. I mean, I guess they did. I'm remembering Anastasia, and didn't they re-release Lion King with Anastasia because they were being very bitter to Don Bluth. So I guess when they want to be evil, they do it, but that's a joke. I'm trying to think, when was the last time a Disney animated film was released as a re-release? Non-gimmick. I don't know. It would be fun to see those, but I think that they don't want to do that. They'd rather just push you to Disney Plus. But I mean, Finding Nemo, these are all kind of like the 3D remakes. Let's see. Oh, yes. I went to see the 2011 Lion King re-release in 3D too. It was a bit gimmicky, but great to see the film on the big screen again. Yes, especially since a classic like the Lion King. Just amazing. Yeah. So, okay. That is our live stream today. Let me know. Oh, Lizzie Shepard says hello. She just jumped on. So this has been fun. So I need to, this is just for me for future live streams. I just need to keep, as I see a news story, put it in my little folder of all of these news stories to talk about, because there were a few other ones that I missed that, we could still talk about. I will be excited to come back next week so we can talk about the box office of the Minions. If you didn't catch the beginning of the live stream, I gave a spoiler-free mini review. Surprisingly enjoyed it. It has a lot for anyone, whether you're young or old. If you're a cinemaphile or a movie buff, you're really, really going to enjoy the first act of this film. It's funny, it's great, and it does peter off at the end. So let me know if you're going to be seeing movies this weekend. Let me know what you're going to be seeing in the comments of this video. Happy Independence Day early to everyone. 250 years. We did it. semi-quincentennial. It's a fun one. So I hope you have a great time. If you're in the United States, you're celebrating. Be careful with those fireworks, okay? I don't want any reports next week that someone has lost a limb. It's not going to work for me. Speaking of lost a limb, I'm reading Treasure Island with my children, and we are doing the different Treasure Island rewatches. So lost a limb, obviously, because Long John Silver has a peg leg, in case you didn't get that reference. But he, before we started with Treasure Island, because it's Robert Louis Stevenson, it's a little bit, heavier, English as far as the way that they speak and write. And so we started, before we even read the book, I was like, I got to get them excited about this story before we read it. Because we checked out the audiobooks from the library. So we've kind of been listening in the car. The chapters are pretty short, which is great. But before we did that, we watched the Muppets Treasure Island. And yes, and that's the first one that we kicked off. I said, okay, to get them excited about the story, we got three ways. We have the Disney Treasure Island from the 50s. We have Treasure Planet, which is a take on Treasure Island. And then we have Muppets Treasure Island, which does its best to be faithful to the source material in a very Muppetsy sort of way. And Little Coffee Bandit says, Muppet Treasure Island. Tim Curry is fantastic in that one. Yes, I loved Tim Curry, so it was a good time. But they seemed excited. They liked the movie. And so now going into reading the book, they're excited for that. So I think we're going to finish the book. Then we're going to watch 50s Treasure Island. And then we're going to kick it off with Treasure Planet, which I would want to do right now because Treasure Planet is just really fun. I mean, it's John Musker. Musker and Clemens direct that. And it's just a fun little take on this classic. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll do Muppets Treasure Island on the podcast. I know, I mean, here we are, we're 14th year into the podcast. And the Animation Addicts podcast, we're a little liberal with our term of animation. It's like, you know what? I want to do a live action. Why not? So I do. And yeah, so maybe we'll add that to the list. But for podcast listeners, we have recorded Toy Story 5. It's on me to edit that one, kind of a one-man show right here. So I'm hoping to edit that one and get it out in the next few days. Yeah, I could either stick to a schedule of releasing it. For those who don't know, behind the scenes, we do have a schedule of releasing every Tuesday. And the reason I picked Tuesday is because, everyone releases, if they're a weekly show, they're going to release it on either a Monday or a Friday. So let's drop it on a Tuesday. In case weekend gets hectic, then you can still have time to edit on Monday and drop it on Tuesday. So that's the plan. But sometimes the episodes come out on a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday. So I'm like, is there even a schedule anymore? Would you rather have a set date? Or just when the episode's available, just drop it. I don't know. I feel like at this point, it's like, hey, we got an episode, just throw it in there sooner rather than later instead of waiting until we can get back to a very consistent schedule where we're getting back on that weekly cadence. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've kind of worked through what I'm going to be doing, but that's what I was going to do. So I'll probably hopefully get that end of day today, tomorrow. And then of course, until I get the Patreon back up, I'm going to be throwing these live streams as a bonus on the podcast. So make sure to subscribe if you want to catch those. And at some point we'll be moving just the audio version of this over. So yeah. Okay. Treasure Planet is so underrated. Can't wait for your takes on Toy Story 5. I wasn't a fan, but I wasn't a fan of 4 either. Gotta go. Have a good weekend, Morgan. Everyone have a great weekend. Thanks for joining. This was fun. And give this a like and don't blow off any limbs. Okay? Okay. You've been listening to the Animation Addicts podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to help spread the word, be sure to share the podcast with your friends on social media. Just don't forget to tag us at Rotoscopers on Instagram and use the hashtag AnimationAddicts. For all the links and full show notes for this episode, go to rotoscopers.com/podcast. Now, if you still can't get enough for your animation fix, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and visit rotoscopers.com for more animation news, reviews, and interviews. Thanks for listening.
You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.